I was born pre-polluted. So were you, each and every one of you. When we're in our mother's wombs, before we so much as take our first breath, have our first bite of food, step into the world, our bodies contain toxins, contain chemicals, contain poisons. Now, this was something that my mother became aware of when she was pregnant with me. She read a book called Diet for a Poisoned Planet. And it was about making safer choices for your family, for your lives, and how to live healthy in an otherwise toxic world. And she wanted to create the safest environment such that she wasn't giving toxins to me in vitro, but also that this was actually a safe space into which I was born as a newborn. So my dad went to work one day, and he came home, and she had completely organicized the entire house. That's a word that I like to use. She had gotten all organic produce. She'd removed most of the packaged food. She had switched from plastic to glass. We were now cleaning with lemon and vinegar. And that's how I grew up. That was my norm. I went to a school in Northern California. It helped growing up in a little eco bubble. And there we did water testing on the ocean and the bay. We ran our PE classes up the mountain. We studied tadpoles in the creek we had running through campus. And I started to realize that this wasn't per se your normal upbringing, but this is how I was raised. Fast forward a few years, it was 2002. I was 11 years old. And a study came out that Marin County, California, had the highest breast, prostate, and melanoma cancer rates in the world. Our breast cancer rates had risen 60% in 8 years. No one knew why, and there wasn't money to do the studies. Well, one of my mom's best friends at that point had just finished chemotherapy, and they went to a meeting at the Board of Supervisors where they announced this study. And my mom came home outraged. People are dying and no one knows why. People are dying and no one's doing anything about it. So our home was transformed quickly into a more or less campaign headquarters where thousands of volunteers went to 65,000 households on one day to ask the question, why? Why are our cancer rates off the charts? They worked with the UCSF Department of Epidemiology and nothing correlated. It wasn't demographics. It wasn't water studies, but it wasn't all genetics, so there had to be some sort of trigger. And we started to think about lifestyle choices. What is it that's in you, on you, around you? Are you aware of the exposures that you're facing in your everyday existence, from when you wake up in the morning, go through your everyday practice till you go to bed at night? And about the same time, in 2005, the study came out on the National Campaign for Safe Cosmetics, linking the ingredients in personal care products, so that's soap, shampoo, deodorant, toothpaste, makeup, the whole gamut, to cancer, birth defects, and reproductive harm. And this was very real for me. I was that middle school student who had Maybelline Full and Soft in her pencil case, and Britney Spears was the Herbal Essence spokesperson at that point, so I used these products every day to get clean, to get glamorous, and never had it crossed my mind that the ingredients could be potentially harming my health. So I was a little bit outraged. I learned facts that 89% of the more than 11,000 ingredients in these products had never been tested for safety. That women used an average of 12 products, men used 6, each containing dozens of ingredients on our bodies every day. The EU had banned over 1,000 chemicals at that point. The US had banned 9. So with a little ragtag group of my peers, we launched what was then Teens for Safe Cosmetic. It's now Teens Turning Green, really as a way to probe, to ask these questions. What is it we're being exposed to? The FDA, nor any other governing body, regulates the multi-billion-dollar beauty industry. So in this process, I wanted to find out what actually people were using. So we did this study, and we asked people to bring in their products, and we tallied with a chemist the ingredients in the back of the boxes. What are we using as young people every day? And so that resulted in 2 different resources, the Dirty 30 and the Greener Alternatives. And the Dirty 30 are 30 of the most commonly found egregious chemicals in daily use products. So this simply listed what is in it, what the name of the ingredient is that you probably can't pronounce, why it's there. Is it a surfactant? Is it a foamer? Is it a preservative? And then the health risk. Is it a known neurotoxin, a reproductive toxin, a mutagen? And I'm not a scientific person, but this made sense. This was a user-friendly resource that I could distribute to my peers. And then the complement to that was this greener alternatives list. So not just to tell people no, 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 but to give them a yes, to give them an option, to give them another choice. And through this process, I went through something called a body burden test, where they took samples of my blood and urine and found in them 4 chemical groups commonly found in cosmetics and personal care products: phthalates, triclosan, and others. And there is no way for them to definitively say that down the road this will cause X, Y, or Z health consequences. They're just beginning to study the impacts of these sorts of chemicals in trace amounts in your blood. But that was in my blood as a teenage girl. And this is when we're so susceptible. We talked about fetuses. We also think about children in this formative developmental years, going through puberty. You know, what is an okay dosage? How much is too much? No, this hasn't been proven dangerous without a doubt, but it hasn't been proven safe either. In any small dosage used as directed, maybe it's harmless. But what happens when you compound it day after day, multiple products, one on top of another? We are a petri dish, if you will, being used by these chemical companies, big business, the industry. So where do we go? What do we do? Well, my interest snowballed. I couldn't stop there, and I really started to think about all of the exposures. We don't see these products, we don't smell them, we can't taste them, but they're omnipresent. They're around us every single day. So we delved further into personal care products. Skincare. Your skin absorbs things 4 times faster into your bloodstream than orally. This is what we are lathering on our bodies to be shiny, to be clean. We have no clue of the ramifications. And nothing's sacred. This is everything from a no-tears baby shampoo to your deodorant, which contains aluminum that's been found in breast cancer tumors. And for me, it just came to be this wake-up call, and I wanted to offer people this conventional and conscious. Here are your choices. It's up to you. You're now educated. Go forth. So from there, we looked also at food, and food is a little bit more of a normal connection that people make. It's going into your mouth. This is what you use, nutrition. But the pesticides, they're not always even recommended, let alone allowable. You know, the EPA, many of these are known or probable carcinogens, mutagens, toxins, and there they are in our food supply every single day, specifically with children, specifically those more susceptible. They're in our gardens. They're on our lawns, they're in our food, and then we put our food into cans, many of which contain liners with BPA, bisphenol A. It's a plasticizer. It's an artificial estrogen. And we've seen this to cause all sorts of impairment to gestational age, to anatomy of babies, to all this stuff, and here we are, once again, eating it. Michael Pollan has a great quote. He says, "Don't eat anything your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food." Well, is this highly processed, over-packaged, artificially dyed, colored chemicals to alter taste and texture, is that food? For me, an apple is an apple. So what's all the rest of the stuff doing in it? And then you think about cleaning. So cleaning, spring cleaning, clean surfaces, clean air, clean spaces. Well, it's really much more like a toxic chemical breeding ground. And there we are with this cocktail of ingredients that lead to asthma, that lead to all sorts of number of issues. And again, no idea. This is oftentimes the silent killer in the room. And we also have furniture in our homes with flame retardants on them. We have plastics everywhere, all the time, that contain phthalates. So they make it that you can bend it and it won't break. You see that in baby toys, popping up all over our world. And then there are all these places where we go. So we go into nail salons. Have you guys ever walked past a nail salon and smelled that noxious fume? The Northern California Cancer Center did a study, and they found these acute health effects with workers after repeated exposures, not to mention the actual carcinogens in the polish themselves. This is non-toxic polish, if you're wondering. And then you go to a gas station, and in the state of California, there's signs posted because these vapors, these emissions, are known toxins, particularly to pregnant women. And you think about going to camp or where we send our kids with DEET. It's a pesticide, it's a nervous system depressant, and we spray it openly in the air all around us. So is this overwhelming? Are you scared? Maybe some of the faces I'm getting back. I hope not, because for me, this is an opportunity. You now have that knowledge. And I don't want it to be paralyzing, because toxicity, like global warming, like environmental degradation, is a huge issue, a pressing issue in today's world, and it will continue to be. But you can do something. And that's where we have to say no. Apathy is out. There are innumerable entry points into what it means to live a safer, more healthy, sustainable life. And which one of those are you going to take? Where are you going to start? What aspect of this are you personally going to take on in your day-to-day? You're not just a consumer, which is a word that I've grown to despise, even a conscious consumer. You're a citizen. And these choices, these problems, are as close to you as what you do every day. So yes, you're a citizen, but the bottom line is you do buy things. I do buy things. So how can we vote with our dollars? That's the silver lining. We have this power to affect change. We have the power to say no to toxins, to say no to cancer-causing chemicals, and to say yes to companies, to brands, to products that are doing right by our health and our planet. So for me, the idea of fear will accomplish nothing. And I refuse to give that the shrug of inevitability. Sure, we will all die. You will all die. What's one more thing? Why me? Why now? Why should I start? Why does it matter? We've heard it all. But I challenge you to take that stand, to do one thing, D-O-T, a dot. And then you connect the dots. And you have this effect that's amplified when everyone gets involved, when you and I, everyone in this room, goes and tells all of their networks. And I think, we don't have to wait for legislation here. Yes, we need toxins reform. We have an antiquated system. But you and I can take action right now, today, when we go home, and we can spread the word. And it's about, for me, to stop debating whether or not something is toxic down to the minutia. Let's just say no. What if we did that? What if we opted out? What if we lived by a precautionary principle? If there is a chance that something could harm you, why go there? Especially in today's world, when there's so many products, practices that go in the other direction, that are safe, and we know it. I used to be afraid of the word activist, of being a crusader. But now I've taken it on, because if not you, who? If not now, when? And we who have that power, have that knowledge, there's this gap between intention and action. So how do you put that into practice? How do you put it to good use? How do you fight for what you believe in every single day through the things that a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 60-year-old, and an 80-year-old do already? Suddenly, that power becomes yours. That power becomes very, very real. And it shouldn't be about lessening harm. It shouldn't be about mitigating risk. It shouldn't be about appeasement. It should be about a new paradigm of shared value. A new paradigm where doing the good thing, doing the right thing, becomes the easy thing. Where we look for promise in new places. And we ultimately move forward in a really positive, collaborative way. So let's go forth as conscious, proactive daily citizens. I choose to opt out of the human experiment, and so can you. Thank you.